Again. I did decide last week that we'd be proceeding on to the other steps involved in transcending stress and suffering. But I happened to talk to an old friend yesterday, and he reminded me of something in our conversation inadvertently that ties in with uh, the STOP, the four steps for transforming stress inwardly. And one of the things I left out was that when you feel that stress, that tension, again, remember stress is the gap between, and the stress in that gap between what is and what you'd really love to have happen. And so what he reminded me of is something that he used with one of his students, because when we first got out of college, we both had taught high school, and he stayed with it, and I went on to get my degree in clinical and child psychology, and he would often ask me questions dealing with students, and I had forgotten about this. But anyway, what he reminded me of is, remember, S is stop, T is tell, O is observe, P is proceed or pray and proceed. And remember, the whole thing here is you go in and you really fully express what your negative emotion is telling you. That's the difference with other techniques. Creating a vacuum by fully expressing it, so then you can fill that vacuum fully with what you'd love to have happen. Okay, so in this case, what it reminded me of was that when you first yell stop, picture the big red stop sign, stop, and you begin to take the breath. As you begin to take a breath, at the corners of your mouth, you smile inwardly and twinkle your eyes, because you want to break the fixed stare and the fixed nature of the facial muscles when you're feeling that tension of stress. So a little smile at the corner of your mouth. You don't have to even open your mouth, just a slight inner smile, and then twinkle your eyes, and then breathing in, notice how the air is cooler as it flows over your nasal membranes, and think cool mind. Feel that air going through your head, cool, into your body. It warms up as you exhale. Think warm, calm body. So you stop, smile inwardly, twinkle the eyes, breathing in cool. I can keep my mind cool. Breathing out as the air is warmed up in your body, and my body warm and calm. Cool. I can keep my mind cool and my body calm no matter what. So remember, there's a little stop, inner smile, breathing in, twinkling your eyes, breathing in, cool, breathing out, calm. So that little smile. Now, what he told, the story he told me about was he had a student that he had coached and checked on all her knowledge that she had in terms of English and grammar and so forth, and she had to pass a certain test, some kind of a qualifying exam, and she had flunked it twice. And he said, I know you know the material. I know you know it. So it was really a case of some test anxiety. And so what he did with her, he said, now, you know it. Now, when you start to get that tension, he advocated to stop, the STOP. But what he really stressed was smile, then take that breath. And the smile again is the corners of the mouth, the twinkle in the eye, and then the breath. And hold your shoulders back and feel it. Feel yourself being able to do this, because you would hate to flunk this test again. That's because you'd love to pass it. Fill yourself up with that. Observe how you can pull this off. You have the ability. You give yourself that self-talk coaching, and then proceed to take the test. Now, this is based on another idea that I mentioned to you before called reciprocal inhibition. So when you engage in the relaxation response, which is the breathing, and then when you engage in the T, what are my negative emotions telling me? That is, my anger is telling me I would hate to fail this test, or my anxiety is telling me I hate to fail this test, and that's because I would love to do really well on this test. So remember, relaxation response blocks, makes it in the brain, makes it impossible to be in the anxiety response. And so does the assertive response. So when you're asserting, going from what you don't want to what you do want, shifting from a fear focus to a love focus. And again, the word love is important. It lifts you. it elevates you and can expands your chest. So when you're saying what your negative emotion is telling you, you want to kind of it's telling me you can almost like visualize or actually do it, crunch up and really contract and then expand, contract and expand. So he said, shoulders back. So she's in an expansive position, taking the test, doing the breathing from time to time, the cools and calms, and having that smile, keeping a little slight smile through the whole of the exam. If she found herself losing that, bringing it back. And she passed with flying colors. Now, what this ties in with is something I wrote about in Words Become Flesh. And what I mentioned was, if you take the acronym IDEA, IDEA, standing for, let's say I feel hunger. An image comes to mind of like a sandwich or a ice cream cone or whatever. Then a desire. So I, an image, D, desire, E, emotion, and then A, I take action. I get up and go to the refrigerator. Now, remember, as I said about emotions, emotions are words, if you think about it, the E, the letter E, can stand for energy, and then that sets us in motion. E, motion. Anger sets us in motion to fight and protect ourselves. Fear sets us in motion to run or take flight to protect ourselves. And so the E is energy. So an image comes to mind of eating something, desire to eat something, an emotion comes along with that, and then the action takes place. Now, this is the key thing. So often we don't want to exercise in the morning. We don't want to, kids don't want to do their homework. And oftentimes we'll wait till we feel like doing it. The key is you can reverse that IDEA and think of it in terms of AIDE, the word aid with an E added to it. And so what that means is take the action, as this woman did. She held her chest expanded. She had her shoulders back, displaying confidence to counter the contracted feeling of being afraid and lacking confidence. So she acted as if she was confident and felt herself being confident. And so you take the action, just as Nike so wisely says, just do it. So just start to exercise, and as you start to exercise that you didn't feel like doing, you begin to get an image of maybe being in shape, looking good on the beach, whatever, and then that's followed by the desire for that to happen, and then the emotion flows in. So if you take action, you'll often, and just do it, you'll create a channel for the emotion to flow, and then you'll move in that direction. So rather than wait till you feel like doing it, you AIDE. You take the action, the image comes, the desire comes, and then the energy, the emotion setting you in motion. So I wanted to mention that. So again, with the stop, you stop, smile inwardly, twinkle your eyes, breathing in. I can keep my mind cool and feel the sensations of a cool air going over your nasal membranes. Pause, and then remember the other behavioral things are as you begin, you pause before you do the calm, and just eventually you'll know this, you don't have to keep thinking it. But before you say calm, you think, as I say calm, as I'm about to say calm, I let my jaw, tongue, and shoulders go limp and feel a wave of warmth and heaviness flowing down through my body and out the soles of my feet. So when you say calm, your mouth doesn't go and your jaw doesn't hang open. Your lips may still be together, so it would be like this. Calm. And as I did that, I thought in advance, jaw, tongue, and shoulders go limp, and wave of warmth and heaviness. Now in the research, again, just remind you, when you use imagery of warmth and heaviness, when you use the self-talk, it actually helps to relax the smooth muscles around the blood vessels. And they were the two measures of tension during stress. The measurement around the smooth muscles, that your skin temperature is cool because you're tight, or the measure of the EEG for the skeletal muscles. So just stopping and noticing and being aware that you're tense in your bigger muscle groups begins to activate the quieting response, the quieting reflex. countering the emergency reflex, countering the emergency response, that which is getting us in gear to deal with the stress. And we, in most cases these days, we need a relaxed body and an alert mind. So cool, calm. Okay, so in the next few weeks, we're going to shift over to talking about how we can transcend stress. So these are what we've done so far is about transforming it. And remember, the key here is going in and fully expressing the negative, not trying to talk yourself out of it, not putting marshmallow fluff over manure, as one of my professors used to say. You want to get rid of the crap and fill it with the positive. Okay, so just positive thinking doesn't always work. It's got to be a full recognition of what your negative emotions are telling you, remembering it, your negative emotions, all your emotions tell you about something important to you. Okay, now I want to leave you with a story before we go into next week. And I was coming back from Maine, and my car was losing power, and it was a full tank of gas. I was baffled. And I pulled up to the toll booth, and it's chugging along a little bit, and I asked if they knew if there was a garage or something, and I had enough oomph to get to a garage without being towed. And I pulled in to this mechanic's and found out that the alternator wasn't operating, so that the battery wasn't getting recharged, because the battery was fine other than that. So that night I had to leave the car and had to get it transported back home. And that night I flipped on the Simpsons. And as some of you may be familiar with the Simpsons, the children of the Simpsons are Bart and his sister and Lisa. And so in this episode, Bart and Milhouse, his little friend, they're in the church and they're playing In-A-Gadda-Da-Vida loud and bombastically. And they get caught. So they're playing the song by Iron Butterfly and they're just rocking the church. Nobody's in there yet. And the minister comes in and Milhouse says, "Oh, what are we going to do?" He said, "Bart says, just lie. We'll tell them something happened to the organ. It wasn't us." And he, as I recall, Milhouse says, "Oh no, that'll damage my soul if I tell a lie." And Bart says, "There's no soul. Sell me, he said, Milhouse says, "Well, then if there isn't a soul, sell me yours. Or give me yours." He said, "I'll sell it to you for, I think, 5 cents or $5 or something." And so that happens. They make this transaction. So as the show unfolds, Bart is unable to be registered when he steps on the electric rubber mat outside the doors, the glass doors of the convenience store. He steps on it and he doesn't get recognized. And these other boys come by, step on it, the door's open, he goes in, follows them. Then they go over and blow on the little refrigerated area where there's ice cream, and they blow and their hot breath causes condensation. He does it and there's nothing. They're yelling, no breath, and they're making fun of him. And he goes home, and usually something would make him happy was like pulling a prank on his father, with tripping him up on the staircase or something, which he does, and he doesn't get any joy out of it. So he goes to sleep and takes his nap, and he goes to sleep, and he's dreaming that there's all this beautiful paradise of an island, and all these people are in boats rowing out, and every one of the boats has a version of themselves on one side, another version on the other side. One side's their soul, the other side's their body, and they're rowing out evenly. But Milhouse has got his hands behind his head. He's leaning back like this, and Bart's rowing on one side, Bart's soul, and then Milhouse, his body or soul, is rowing on the other side. So that dream ends, and finally his sister does something to get his soul back from Milhouse. I guess it buys it back. And so he's fine. So after the show, I thought to myself, now what's this telling me? There's something here about the car, and there's something here about Bart. And then I realized, it came to me and I brought this to my patients as a kind of a relaxation guided imagery thing. And that was, just like my car is a lifeless mass of matter without the spark provided by the battery that ignites the engine and keeps it alive, no matter how much gas I have in the tank, no matter how beautiful how shiny and clean the exterior or the interior, It's a lifeless mass of matter without that spark provided by the battery that ignites the engine and keeps it alive. So my body is a lifeless mass of matter without the spark provided by my consciousness, my soul, my spirit, whatever words you want to use, that ignites my body and keeps it alive. So consider that this week as you look at your car, as you think about your body. Now, it doesn't mean we don't take good care of our car, keep it clean, shine it up, put the right kind of petrol in it. You take good care of the body, exercise it and so forth. It's a vehicle that's taking us through life. So keep that in mind. We still take care of it, but it's not anything without that spark. So with that, I leave you with that thought this week. So have a great week, and I'll talk to you next week.